The 18th Adhyaya, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, is the yoga of attainment of liberation by renunciation. The 18th Adhyaya serves as the concluding chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and encapsulates the teachings of the previous chapters and provides a comprehensive framework for leading a balanced, purposeful, and a spiritually fulfilling life. It offers invaluable insights into the nature of reality, the human mind, the path to self-realization, making it a profound source of guidance and wisdom for spiritual seekers. The 18th Adhyaya emphasizes the importance of selfless action, understanding one's duties, transcending the gunas, renouncing attachment, and cultivating faith. It encourages individuals to lead a purposeful and a balanced life while striving for spiritual liberation and self-realization. The first verse starts with Arjuna's question. Arjuna has understood that renunciation or giving up is important in life to attain the spiritual goal. However, he seems to be confused as to what is the true meaning of renunciation, sannyasa, and giving up or tyaga, and the difference between the two. And that's why he asks Krishna, Sannyasam vedutum tattvam ichhami. He says, I want to know what is renunciation, sannyas, tyagasya cha pruthak, and want to know how is it different from sacrifice or tyaga. Bhagavan Krishna uses these words tyaga and sannyasa very frequently in the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna seems to be confused as to what is the difference between the two words and wants more clarity. Krishna clearly shows the difference between tyaga and sannyasa. He says, Kamyanam karmanam nyasam, sannyasam kavayah viduhu. He says, giving up all the kamya karma, the sakam karma, the selfish actions, is known as renunciation by the wise. Sarva karma phala tyagam, rahu tyagam vichakshanaha. Whereas giving up of the attachment to the results of all actions, karma phala tyaga, is called sacrifice or tyaga by the learned. Krishna gives clarity for the actions and renunciation. He says in renunciation or sannyasa, all the selfish actions have to be given up. Such selfish actions are due to attachment to objects, which creates desire to have them. As attachments and desires lessen in life, importance or mahatva buddhi of these worldly objects or vishaya, they reduce, and this gradually leads to dispassion or vairagya. The true detachment needs some thought, vichara, and inquiry, viveka, and only then it is sustainable. The renunciate saints, the sannyasi, are absolved from all types of above actions, all the sarva karma tyaga. Scriptures never order renunciation, but only permits renunciation for the perfectly eligible, just as a ripe fruit falls off on its own and need not be plucked. Renunciation appears easy from outside, but it is not so. It is not easy to leave everything in the world just to pursue one goal, to attain the divine. On the other hand, karma yoga, the path of selfless actions, is a more conducive path for most. Majority of the seekers are eligible for the path of actions or the pravrutti marga, as they have many desires to fulfill. These seekers need to learn the art of doing actions, the attitudes of doing their work without attachment to the results. Thus, showing clearly the difference between renouncing actions, karma tyaga, and renouncing the results of action, the karma phala tyaga, Krishna says in karma yoga, the main emphasis is on the renouncing the fruits of the results of the action, the karma phala tyaga, and complete acceptance and surrender of all the results, prasada buddhi. In renunciation, sannyasa, the main emphasis is on giving up of all selfish actions and all types of actions, sarva karma tyaga, as prescribed in the scriptures. Now Krishna shows the opinion of the wise person towards karma and its results. He says, some learned people believe in giving up all the improper actions, whereas others believe that one should not give up yagna, dana, and tapa karma na tyajyam iti cha apare. He says one should not give up yagna, charity, and tapa karmas. Krishna says what is vision of the wise and the learned persons. They would avoid the prohibited actions by the scriptures. But all other actions which are on demonic values like incessant desires, anger, pride, greed, and violence must be avoided. They are called nishiddha karma. On the other hand, the learned people believe that one should keep doing the yagna karma, the actions done for larger good, the dana karma, actions done for charity and philanthropy, and tapa karma, the actions done for developing self-restraint and discipline. Krishna wants us to keep doing this yagna, dhan and tapah karma always, and we should not give them up. Krishna shows that this is the definite opinion of Tyaga. He says, "O best in Bharat dynasty, listen to this firm decision on Tyaga and giving up. O mighty Arjuna, the Tyaga or giving up are of three types: Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic." Krishna now describes why actions are important and why we should carry out actions and which should be the attitudes. First, he says that the goal of all the actions is to create purity inside. It is called Antahkarana Shuddhi. He says, "Yagna dana tapah karma na tyajyam iti." One should not give up yagna, charity and tapa karmas. These actions should be done as they lead to purifying or the purity of the body, mind and the senses. Krishna explains to Arjuna that the main goal of worldly life is for the purpose of spiritual enlightenment. He says that yagna, dana and tapa karma should not be given up as they create purity of the mind. Developing a quiet mind and inner purity is the first step to progress on the spiritual path to fathom the formless divinity. This is essential for people who have restraint over their senses, mind by their intellect, manishinam, as well as those whose pride is dissolved. Thus Krishna loudly announces that yagna, dana, tapa karma leads to purity of mind, bhavanani, manishinam, and should never be given up, even if we plan to retire from our professional life. How the actions of karma should be done, with what kind of thoughts, vichara, viveka, Bhagavan says, therefore these actions should be done without attachment, sangam tyaktva. He says, phalanicha, and giving up the desire for the fruits of action, kartavyani iti me partha, and as if it is my duty, O Arjuna, this is my definite and the highest opinion. Krishna is only interested in upliftment of all the souls due to his divine grace. Therefore, he tells Arjuna to do all actions with the help of three attitudes. The first attitude is to do all actions without attachment, sangam tyaktva, means to renounce attachment to actions, karma sakti, thinking that only I can do it and that no one else can do it as better or as perfectly as what I can do. And we should learn to do all our actions as if we are instruments or nimitta bhav in the hands of the divine and with utmost gratitude. The second attitude is to renounce the fruits of action, the phalani tyaktva. Attachment to results, phalasakti, is an important way how actions bind us. In Karma Yoga, the attitude is that karma is my duty, adhikara. Karmanyeva adhikaraste. My right is not in the results of action, karma phala. Thus, acceptance of the results of the action, prasada buddhi, and sharing the fruits with others is the best way to keep our peace of mind. The third attitude is to do all our karmas, kartavya karma, kartavyaniti, with the best of our abilities, perform noble actions as if it is my duty. It is my duty like swadharma, which is the best, and I should not compare myself with others as others' duty or paradharma is different. Now Krishna shows the three types of renunciation, tyaga, sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. First he describes the tamasic tyaga. He says, what is firmly decided for you, do not give up. But if you give up due to mohatasya parityagaha, if you give up due to delusion or an impulse or the rage, if you give up all your actions, then these kind of tyaga is called tamasic tyaga. Each one of us has been given a duty wherever we are, whichever role we are playing, we should endeavor to do the best in the most meticulous manner. Out of laziness or negligence, we should not give up our duties. Giving up our duties without proper understanding, due to extremes of emotions arising out of attachments, due to the delusion of the reality, is called tamasic tyaga. Scriptures never prescribe giving up actions, karma tyaga. However, for the most suitable person, the adhikari, it permits giving up actions as karma sannyasa. Now Krishna describes the rajasic tyaga. Dukkhamityeva yat karma, kaya klesha bhayatya chet. If actions are given up with the understanding that these actions will give me pain, miseries, or out of fear, then this is the rajasic tyaga, which does not obtain any real fruits of the tyaga. Krishna says that one should not give up their duties or actions by thinking that it gives me pain or suffering. Every action comes with its own challenge, and our efforts should be to overcome the obstacles in the path of our actions and duties. Whatever is given up by laziness or running away cannot be called renunciation. Sooner or later it will cause more pain and suffering. Such giving up does not give the real fruits of tyaga to the individual. And now therefore Bhagavan Krishna shows the highest form of tyaga, the sattvic tyaga. What is his opinion? He says, "O Arjuna, Yat karyamiti eva niyatam kriyate Arjuna. The actions which are performed as if it is my duty and I should do it well. Sangam tyaktva phalam cha eva. By renouncing the attachments to karma sakti and devoid of the fruits of action, the phala sakti. Krishna again emphasizes what we need to do, renounce our actions. We did not renounce our actions, but we must renounce the fruits of or the results of our actions. We should do whatever we need to do as my duty well in the best possible way so that others cannot improve upon that. Our duties must be done with utmost awareness of various repercussions and incorporating all the variables into our action and plans. These actions then should become our attitude of karma yoga by renouncing the attachment to the actions and the fruits of the actions. By doing actions in this manner, where are we going to reach? The final state, Bhagavan says, that a karma yogi reaches is to the state of equanimity, the samatva yoga. Na dveshti kushalam karma. He says, one does not anguish in imperfect actions. Kushale na anushajjate. Does not get attached to perfect actions. Who is dispassionate, tyagi, sattva samavishta, becomes pure, medhavi, becomes intelligent, and chinna sanchaya, all the doubts are cleared by the logic described in the scriptures. In this word, Krishna describes the steps of the Adhyatmic sadhana, the spiritual journey. The first step is that one who gives up the karma yogi, then he becomes sattvic, he develops equanimity, samatva, and which ignites a desire to inquire into the truth, which leads to inquiry between the Atma and the Anatma Viveka. The second step is to make the intellect pure and subtle so that inquire and hold the truth becomes medhavi. And then the seeker needs to pursue the regular study of scriptures, listening from the Guru, Shravana. But by this listening, there may be doubts which are created, which have to be cleared by our manana or the inner contemplation. And that's why he becomes chinna sanshaya, all the doubts get cleared. Such a person is then eligible for assimilation of knowledge by a process of meditation called nididhyasana, so that all the opposite impressions are relieved. Actions or karma should not be renounced or prematurely. Bhagavan says, for human beings, nahi deha vruta shakyam tyaktyum karmanya asheshataha. It is not possible to renounce all actions completely, but who renounces the fruits of action, this person is a real tyagi. Krishna concludes this topic of tyaga or giving up by stating an important fact that humans are very strongly attached to their karma by their doership feeling, the kartrutva, the pride of the karma, and it is impossible for any human being to completely give up or renounce all their actions. Therefore, we need not give up actions, but change the attitude towards our actions so that our karma becomes karma yoga. Krishna stresses that what we need to renounce is our strong expectation of the return or outcome that binds us to the karma. In the vision of Krishna, one who does all the actions without strong expectation of the results or obsession of a particular result is a true tyagi or a karma yogi, but not one who renounces the actions. Now Krishna describes the three types of results or karma phala, the karma or the actions. Anishtam, ishtam, mishram cha. That's something I didn't expect, I did expect, and the mix of both of these. These are the three results of actions, and after death, the jiva goes on an onward journey, but for the wise, there is no such onward journey. Scriptures tell us that our human life is a result of our past karma. Our onward journey will also be a result of our present karma. For any work that we do, we may get three types of results, different than our expectation, as per our expectation, and a mixed result. Similarly, our onward journey, which depends on our present karma, can also be in the lower lokas, adugati, or animal species, or could be in the higher lokas, udvagati, or the same loka, human birth. Krishna now shows the 5 factors which are responsible for any action, karma. He says, O mighty Arjuna, know that there are 5 reasons for completing actions, which according to Sankhya scriptures, for all the actions which have been performed, for the successful completion of all actions. And these 5 factors are adhishtanam tatha karta. He says the physical body, karta is the doer, karanam cha pruthak vidam, all the different types of karana, the tools, the gnanendriya, karmendriya, vividha cha pruthak cheshta, all the different types of movements that are locomotion, walking, moving, all our hands, feet, the muscles, the joints, the tendons. And the 5th one, he says daivam cha ivatra panchamam. The 5th factor is the destiny or the luck. For any action to become successful, several factors are needed. The first and foremost is our physical body, which are needed, which is like a vehicle for performing all actions. The second is the doer, the jiva, who identifies with the body-mind complex and feels that he is doing this action, kartrutva, the pride of doing. And the third factor is the different means for doing actions like the 10 senses, the indriya, mana, and the intellect. We gather all the outside information with 5 jnanendriyas, think with our mind, take a decision with our intellect, and carry out the action with our physical body or mentally by thoughts or verbally by words by the 5 karmendriyas. The fourth factor is the various activities carried out by our muscles, joints, and ligaments to perform various actions. The fifth factor that is described by Krishna is Daivam, which is commonly perceived as our destiny, luck, or our fate, which is outside the jiva's control. This could represent the fruits of our past actions, or it could mean the grace of God, His desire, Ishwaricha. In all the results of actions, we need to understand that this factor is beyond our comprehension, and therefore we are not able to control the results of our actions completely. Therefore, we need to understand this aspect of karma phala so that we do not get upset when we receive untoward or unexpected results of our actions. Now Krishna shows 3 means for actions. Either these actions are created by body, by words, or by mind. They begin their actions which may be appropriate or inappropriate. For all these 5 types of causes, these are the 3 ways how we can do our actions. So normally when we say actions, we mean physical activity. However, according to scriptures, karma has a much wider encompassing meaning. Even our mental actions like thoughts is a karma. All our words or speech is also verbal karma. And physical activity is definitely a part of our karma. For any of these 3 types, the above 5 factors are responsible. Now Krishna shows the wrong vision or the wrong attitude, the improper understanding. He says, even in this situation, even when all these 5 factors are responsible, to believe that only I am the doer, to have that kind of a pride, is a person with limited intellect. Akruta buddhitvat, he says, durmatihi. Such a person is unaware, he does not have pure intentions. Krishna has already described the understanding of the depth of karma. Karma phala is very difficult. Kahana karmano gatihi. He is now telling us that even after knowing that 5 factors are responsible, there are 3 means for actions. It is improper to take the entire credit for any result on ourselves. Such a mindset can only be uncultivated asanskruta, who is not able to see the truth as described in the scriptures. It is a wise man who shares the credit for his or her success with others in the team and accepts the blame personally for failure. Then what is the correct understanding? Sumati. Bhagavan says, one who knows I am not the doer, aham akarta, whose intellect is not bound by actions, even after killing the entire world, does not kill anyone, neither gets bound. Hatvapi imam lokam nahanti na nibadhyate. The meaning of this shloka needs to be properly understood, or else it can be misinterpreted and one may falsely justify violence. This verse conveys the highest Vedanta principle, that Atma is the non-doer, akarta, and the non-enjoyer, abhokta, whereas all the actions, karma, and all the results, karma phala, are part of the body-mind complex, the anatma. The wise man who has seen this reality identifies with the Atma, by which his nature is non-doer, akarta, abhokta. Therefore, the wise is not attached to actions or its outcomes. The wise clearly knows that Atma is a silent witness or the observer and does not kill anyone, does not get bound to anyone. Now Krishna shows 3 factors which inspires us into actions and the 3 factors which are needed for actions. He says, these one are the 3 which inspire us into action: the gnanam, gneyam, parignata, the knowledge, what is to be known, and the knower. And these are the 3 factors which are needed for all actions to be completed. Karanam, karma, karta iti. Tools, the karanam, karma, the subject of the action, and the karta, the doer of the actions. Krishna in this verse shows the intricate relationship between gnana and karma, knowledge and actions. Our entire life we strive for knowledge and actions. Therefore, it is important to understand their mutual relationship. There is undoubtedly a close relationship between them. Firstly, we need to know the gnana, then we are inspired into actions or karma. For example, when we see an advertisement, we know about the product and then we are inspired to buy, for which we need to do some action. The knowledge is fundamentally more important than actions. If actions are done with proper knowledge, they are even more effective and advantageous. The knowledge can be just an understanding as the means or sadhana to actions, or the knowledge can be the final goal. Ultimately, it is the knower, the gnata, who becomes the doer for performing appropriate actions. For performing any action, certain tools or sadhana are also needed. The body, mind, senses, they are all needed for understanding, and then based on this understanding, an appropriate response in the form of action is generated. Krishna is teaching these life skills by this understanding. Now he pledges to describe the three differences of the knowledge, the gnana, actions, the karma, and the doer, the karta. First he says knowledge, actions, and doership, gnanam, karma cha, karta cha. These are of the three types based on their gunas as described in scriptures. Now listen to it carefully. There are various types of knowledge, actions, and types of people who pursue them. According to their three distinctions based on their guna, Krishna defines them as sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic: knowledge, actions, and the person who is doing it. Firstly, describes what is the sattvic knowledge, the sattvic gnana. Sarva bhuteshu yena ekam avyayam bhavam ikshate. He says, when one knows the one unifying, changeless existence in all the beings, that is the Atma, sees this one Atma undivided in all the divisions, then avibhaktam vibhakteshu tad gnanam vidhi sattvikam. Then know that this knowledge is a sattvic knowledge. In the vision of Krishna, true knowledge is to see one in the many. The true vision is one which unites all and does not divide or create divisions. The final goal of Vedanta and Upanishad is to have this true knowledge of the one undivided Brahma, Ek Akhanda Advaita Brahma. All the worldly knowledge of any speciality creates differentiations for us to clarify and understand each aspect. Therefore, our natural vision is to see all the differences in this universe. We can develop an attitude of visualizing the order behind the chaos. For example, while we are stuck in the traffic, we can fume at the traffic or wait for a while so that the traffic opens up and we are able to move on. We could endeavor to see the order behind the chaos rather than the chaos itself. The same is true for accidents and natural disasters. Our scriptures say there is one universal order, the tattva, behind all that exists, which is nothing but God, Ishvara, divine. And knowing this one is the true knowledge, that is the sattvic gnana. The very purpose of spiritual journey is to develop such a vision to see one in many. Now Krishna describes what is rajasic gnana. To see pruthakttvena tu yach gnanam, which shows all the divisions in all the beings. Nana bhavan pruthak vidan, all the differences of various types. When person knows this, then this knowledge is rajasic knowledge. Krishna defines rajasic gnana, rajasic knowledge, as one where we see all the differences and we are not able to see the oneness behind all the differences. We shall be consumed to see the various good and not so good qualities of people. We will be obsessed in comparing with people, competing with others based on different qualities of different people. Such comparisons and competition breeds desire and greed to have more and more material possessions without having any satisfaction in life. Such a life does not give lasting peace or happiness. Now Krishna describes what is tamasic knowledge. He says, yattu ekasmin karyasaktam krutsnavata. When one is attached to one action completely, ahaitukam atattvarthavat, without any reason or logic, without much accomplishment, and where the results are also very meager, very infinite, insignificant, tat tamasa mudayutam, then this knowledge is known as tamasic knowledge. When we keep on discussing petty issues in life, and this tamasic knowledge is based out of ignorance of the reality. Thus one is focused on only material possessions, wealth, completely all the time. They even do not think of any higher purpose of life, and without thinking and keep doing the same things of insignificant importance as if that is the only work that we need to do. These actions or pursuits may not provide any benefit to that person, but out of sheer ignorance, the person becomes attached to such tasks. This is known as tamasic knowledge. Now Krishna describes the three types of karma, actions. Firstly, the sattvic karma. It says, niyatam karma sangarahitam, actions done as my duty, without attachment to the actions or the results. Aragat dveshata krutam, without any personal likes, dislikes. Aphala prepsunayata, without strong expectations of the return. Tat sattvikam uchyate. These actions are called sattvika karma. All actions done as my duty, as a role assigned to me, with utmost dedication, meticulousness, with the thought of all the possible parameters, is a sattvic karma. In the eyes of Krishna, no work is superior or inferior. Each one of us have a duty to play. These duties should be done without attachment to actions or the results as per the attitude of karma yoga, then these actions become sattvic karma. When our actions are colored with our strong likes, dislikes for particular persons, things, then our responses and actions also get colored and changed. We are not able to respond to the situation, rather we react based on our emotions and our preferences. Krishna wants us to become selfless. Therefore he says, we should not have strong expectation of the karma phala. Rather leave this to the Almighty to decide what is best for me and have faith that He will give me better than what I deserve. Describes what is rajasic actions. Yattu kamep sunah karma. Actions which are inspired by desires. Sahankarena vapunah. And done again with arrogance. Kriyate bahulayasam. Done with a lot of exertion. Tat tamas tad rajasam udayutam. These actions are called rajasic karma. All actions inspired by worldly possessions like wealth, power, position, security are rajasic karma. All these are self-centered desires for self-fulfillment. Any action done with attachment to actions or results done with a lot of exertion to get material benefits alone are termed rajasic karma. Our self-pride or ego plays a major role in keeping us involved in the material realms and not allowing us to rise higher than our primitive impulses. The feeling that I am the doer, maine kiya, need for appreciation, need for too much of self-respect is nothing but our ego, which does not allow us to progress on the spiritual path. The entire spiritual journey is to annihilate our pride and surrender to the divine with an understanding that we are all helpless in the hands of the divine, and it is only with His grace we are able to perform actions. Now Krishna defines what are tamasic actions, tamasa karma. Karma yat anapeksha, when actions start without thinking of its after effects, consequences, the time, amount of money, energy that we spend, and how much harm we are going to do, at what cost we are doing the karma, and without thinking of our capabilities, but begin with delusion and without thought. Tat tamasam uchyate. These are called tamasic karma. Often in emotions, we take certain rash decisions without giving due thought of all the consequences or thinking of the variety of repercussions of the given actions, and these are called tamasic karma. Often we spend a lot of our time, money and energy on issues which we later realize were useless and not worth spending so much of our time. We often do not think of the harm our actions can cause to others, especially the microenvironment around us. If we do our work without thinking of our capacity, out of overconfidence or keeping just the petty goals in mind, then these are called tamasic karma. Any action started in haste without thinking and with attachments is a tamasic karma. Now Krishna defined the three types of doers, the karta. Sattvic karta first, who does all actions without attachment to actions, without pride, with gratitude, and shares the credit, and does all actions with patience and enthusiasm, and remaining unperturbed in success and failure. Krishna describes the highest and the most desirable type of person who should be an ideal for us to achieve. This person performs all his or her duties and actions without any attachment, without strong identification with their self, and without expectation of the particular fruits of the actions. Such a person is a sattvic person and is called a karma yogi. A sattvic person pursues all selfless actions with enthusiasm and with a lot of patience. Such a person is equanimous in success and failures, remains serene in ups and downs of life. And this is the first goal of a Sikha. They have an acceptance of the fruits of the actions as an offering from the God or prasada buddhi. Now Krishna defines what is a rajasic karma. He says, Rajasic is one who is attached to the desires while doing the actions with a strong desire for the particular result, is always lubdha, greedy, always wants more and more. Hinsatmaka, may turn violent if desires are not met. Ashuchi, does not bother about cleanliness. Harsha shokan anvitaha, and filled with all the ups and downs, the elation, the depression of life. Such a person is called a Rajasic karta. A materialistic person who pursues all actions for a limited benefit of his self, on his possessions, fixated to strong desire for particular outcomes, is a Rajasic person. As his wishes and desires get fulfilled, newer ones arise, and in this greed there is no end to his accomplishments. He is constantly unsatisfied, and when his desires do not get fulfilled for particular reasons, he tends to become aggressive and violent. In the process of acquiring multiple material possessions, he is not concerned for his hygiene and his inner purity, and he does not have pure intentions. He is constantly tossing between emotional feelings of temporary happiness when desires are fulfilled and displeasure amounting to depression when desires are unfulfilled. With such wild swings in his life, a Rajasic person is unable to accomplish anything meaningful in life. Now Krishna defines who is the Tamasic person. Tamasic Karta is one who is undisciplined, unrefined, remains stabdha, stiff, shatha, cheater, naishkrutika, sadist, one who is lazy, one who is always in sorrow, pain, keeps on complaining, dirghasutri, postpones his duty and his work. Such is a Tamasic person, who is a person who is impulsive, reacts out of unawareness due to his lack of discipline and courtesy towards others. Such a person is uncultured, uncultivated, and therefore raw. He is unable to mold or adjust to the social order. He wants to achieve at any cost and may even resort to cheating others, enjoys giving pain to others, and is careless towards his duties and is a burden to the society at large. He is dull and keeps complaining about whatever happens to him. His mentality is to postpone his duties, and such a Tamasic person achieves nothing meaningful in life. Now Krishna promises to describe the three types of intellect, buddhi and self-restraint, dhruti shakti. He says, now listen to the three types of intellect and resolute for self-control, dhruti, based on the three gunas, the sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. O Arjuna, I'll tell you clearly with all the differences so that nothing remains to be said. Intelligence and self-control are the two functions of our brain. The brain is the seat of human intellect and is our biggest power. It is how we are differentiated from other species. How we use this power determines what we become in life. Krishna describes the three types of intelligence, buddhi, and the power to control our emotions and rage, the dhruti. Firstly, starting the description of the sattvic intellect, sattvic buddhi. The sattvic buddhi is the one, pravrittim cha nivrittim cha, one who knows properly what to pursue, what not to pursue, what to give up, karya akarya cha, which actions need to be done, which actions need to be avoided, bhayam abhaya cha, which actions will increase the fear, which actions will make me fearless, bandham cha moksham cha, and what are the causes and effects of bondage and freedom. Arjuna, this intellect is sattvika. So a sattvic intelligence is one which knows what are the personal goals to pursue, which are the correct actions, and what is the discipline that I need to reach these goals. What is the right action, what is not worth pursuing is known as sattvic intellect. There are many fears within us, the fears of diseases, fears of old age, fear of death, to name a few. We need to take proactive actions to dissipate such fears and tend to understand our true eternal self and the grand design of the nature to become completely fearless in life. Many of our actions produce expectation from others for their appreciation or validation, and this produces bondage for such actions. While many actions free us, whether they are done with just for the sake of duty and there is no expectation of any respect or praise. One who clearly knows this distinction is a person with sattvic intelligence. Now Krishna describes what is rajasic intelligence or rajasic buddhi. O Arjuna, intellect that does not know appropriately, dharmam adharmam cha, what is right thing to do, righteousness, and what is not, karyam cha akaryam cha, what is to be done and what is not to be done, that intellect is called rajasic. Confusion and doubts are the hallmarks of rajasic intelligence. The underlying basis is the greed to have more and more and the fear to lose whatever they have as material possessions. These emotions of greed and fear dominate the rajasic person, and therefore his intelligence is marked by confusion of what needs to be done and what is the right thing to be done and what needs to be given up. Now Krishna describes the tamasic intellect. People will tamas understand that what is adharmam dharmam itiya, what is improper they understand as proper, sarvarthan viparitanscha, and have all the opposite or the contrary thinking, and that intellect is called tamasic. The tamasic intellect is marked by contrary or opposite thinking. In what is appropriate they find reasons to disregard, and what is inappropriate they want to pursue. In the righteous way of living dharma, they find it is improper, and in the vices they tend to justify and think that this is the right thing to do and all others are also doing it. They justify their wrongdoings by giving completely upside down arguments. Their impressions in the mind are contrary, and thus their mindsets and thinking is to a contrary one. Now Krishna describes the three types of self-discipline, the dhruti shakti, the sattvic dhruti first. He says this is the power of self-control which is sattvic, when avyabhicharinya dhrutya manah pranendriya kriya dharayate, when unflinching resolve regulates the activities of the mind and its senses, which is attained by the spiritual practice of the yoga and devotion to the God. This kind of power of Dhruti Shakti is the self-restraint that helps us overcome some of our biggest obstacles in life. It is a power to control our emotions and let them flow in an appropriate manner. It is like a brake of the car, which allows the car to be accelerated and driven without stress. It is a power of self-modulation amidst all the difficulties in life. This power increases by following the rules of self-discipline in life. The yogis develop a great self-restraint over their senses, mind and the body by developing austerities to discipline themselves, and in the process acquiring supernatural powers. They pursue the path of yoga to attain the divine and become one with the divine moksha as the final pursuit of human life. And this is the power of Sattvic Dhruti. Now Krishna describes the Rajasic Dhruti. This self-control is Rajasic when it is used for attaining Dharma, Kama, Artha, as the occasion arises with the expectation of a particular result. Everyone works hard for gaining education, working in their job or profession, making and nurturing their family, earning wealth to provide a security for themselves and their family. A lot of efforts of human life is spent in these three pursuits: the Dharma, the Artha and the Kama. Dharma is the righteous way of life, the Artha is the action that provides security to our family, and Kama is to fulfill our worldly desires. The enthusiasm, the energy and the restraint needed for such activities is called Rajasic Dhruti. And what is Tamasic Dhruti? Bhagavan says this power of self-control is Tamasic, in which the person is unable to leave daydreaming, swapnam, bhayam, fears, shoka, miseries and sorrow, vishada, madam, mada evacha, pride, arrogance. This intellect that is improper, this durmedha is a Tamasic Dhruti. The Tamasic person operates out of ignorance. They are in their own different world. Rather, they create a new world for themselves by daydreaming. They are unable to follow these actions due to laziness, negligence towards their duties. They have fears, they are unable to overcome them and therefore are unable to progress in life. They get upset very soon on the slightest pretext and are very touchy and have many complexes due to improper self-appraisal. Such Tamasic Dhruti is not conducive for spiritual growth. It is only when we cultivate Sattvic intelligence and cultivate Sattvic Dhruti, self-restraint, then we can experience the lasting happiness or inner joy. Krishna now describes finally the three types of happiness: the Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. Describing the Sattvic happiness, he says, now you listen to these three types. It's only with the practice, Abhyasat Ramaye Yatra, with the practice of meditation, it can provide misery to all the sorrows. Dukkhantam cha nigacchati. Everyone wants to be happy without any pain. We all yearn to do anything and everything to have pleasure and to avoid pain. We do several experiences in life with pleasure and pain, but we do not give much thoughts to these experiences and inquire into them to find out what are those keys to lasting happiness and how can it be obtained and what is the real reason for pain and suffering in life. Therefore, Krishna is now describing the three types of happiness for us. Firstly, what is Sattvic happiness or Sattvic Sukha? That which is Tadagre Vishamiva, which is like poison or difficult initially, Pariname Mrutopamam, but eventually it is like a nectar, Atma Buddhi Prasadajam, which is perceived within our true pure mind. The Sattvic happiness is one which is the result of bracing difficulties, eventually getting the results. We all know that there is no gain without any pain. We may need to brace for short-term pain to eventually get the long-term gain. This is true in all aspects of life. For example, a person wants to become fit and healthy, needs to undergo disciplined diet and exercise regimen, which needs to be continued for many months rigorously. This may be difficult and painful for that person, but eventually the results will be fitness and good health, which gives satisfaction and pleasure. All types of spiritual practices such as satsang gives lasting, pure and sattvic joy. All such happiness is perceived within our mind, which is purified with spiritual practices. What is Rajasic happiness? Bhagavan says, which is Vishayendriya Sanyogat, which is perceived by the contact of the five senses and the five objects. Yatagre Amrutopamam initially feels like nectar, Pariname Visham Iva Tata, and finally it is like a poison in the later part. Rajasic happiness is perceived from the external objects by communion with our five proprioceptive senses by which we gather the worldly information and transmit to our brain and mind. When each of these five senses of vision, the hearing, the touch, the smell, the taste, they experience the sensation that one likes, it gives a feeling of pleasure to that person. This pleasure is short-lived till the object is in the vicinity or in the mind. Later on, the person becomes accustomed to this kind of comfort, and then when such an experience is not available, then that person becomes upset, disturbed, and in pain. Thus, the worldly pleasures are short-lived and in reality are the cause of pain, sorrow, greed, disease, violence, and suffering rather than happiness, which becomes like an illusion. And what is tamasic happiness? Bhagavan says this is tamasic happiness, which is initially as well as later, it deludes or confuses the mind and leads to addictions, which is obtained from excessive sleep, laziness, and carelessness. The hallmarks of tamasic personality is confusion, lack of clarity in decision making. This is marked by delusions with which they are not able to clearly decide what is the reality. Thus, such a person doesn't take judicious decisions. The perception of the reality is so acutely altered that the person has no hesitation in pursuing addictions. In spite of knowing well the hazards of addictions, they are unable to leave them. The tamasic person is characterized by being lazy, inclined for excessive sleep, and negligence towards one's own duties. The idea of describing these three types of happiness is to become aware of these three types and then attempt to change from tamasic and rajasic happiness to more sattvic happiness. Now Krishna says that everything in this universe consists of three gunas of all the prakriti. Wherever in this world, in the space or in heaven, there is nothing which exists which is devoid of the three gunas of the nature. The entire world is made from prakriti, which comes from Maya, which is called Trigunatmika, consists of the three gunas of the nature, and whatever is in the cause becomes part of the effect. Thus the effect, the universe also consists of these three gunas, the sattva, rajas, and the tamas. With this, Sri Krishna comes to the end of the subject of the three gunas. The main message of this part is to persevere to become sattvic in all our pursuits. The final purpose is to transcend the three gunas and to know the one tattva, the Ishvara tattva, which is beyond the universe and devoid of the three gunas of the Prakriti. The final goal, however, is to transcend the three gunas and to know the one tattva, the Ishvara, which is beyond the universe and devoid of the three gunas of Prakriti. Krishna, in this final concluding part of the Bhagavad Gita, describes vividly this journey of transcendence to the highest divinity as the goal. Firstly, he describes the duties, subject of the duties based on the Varna. He says, "O great warrior, listen to me, the duties of Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. And these duties are classified based on the actions or karma. It is never on birth. And these are created by the dualities from the nature, the Prakriti Gunaihi." Krishna now starts the section on how we can elevate our life with our prescribed duties based on our actions and our values. The caste system or the Varna Vyavastha, which was created during the Vedic times, where the people used to work based on their guna to ensure that there is no competition in the society, because the ultimate goal of the life was to attain the supreme divinity. In any societies, four such compartments exist: the intellectuals, the Brahmana, like the teachers, the scientists and the researchers; the protectors or the Kshatriya, the police, the army, the kings and the politicians; the businessman, the Vaishya, who run the economy, create the jobs and are entrepreneurs; and the service people, the Shudra, who serve the society, do their job and are the workforce for the society. Krishna now describes the natural tendencies or gunas of each. Firstly, starts describing the attributes of the Brahmina, the guna of the Brahmina. Shama, Dama, their mind is quiet, composed, they have restraint over their senses. Tapa, they have a sense control. Shaucham, they are clean by heart as well as from outside. Shanti, they are having forgiving tendency, attitudes. Arjavam, simplicity. Gnanam, they uphold the knowledge. Vignana, they assimilate this knowledge in their life. And Astikyam, they have faith in the Vedas and the God. And these are the natural qualities of the Brahmin. Brahmins are naturally quiet, satisfied people who are knowledge oriented. Their responsibility is to uphold this knowledge of the Vedas and share it with others. They have faith in God and scriptures and are involved in learning the scriptures, carrying out the rituals and not just being materially oriented. They carry out many rituals for creating self-restraint and discipline. are simple, and these are their natural qualities. They have utmost faith in the system created by the God, and they never doubt the system. They believe in the natural order of the karma and its results. Now Krishna describes the actions or the guna, karma of the Kshatriya. They are brave, they are self-confident, they have a self-restraint, they have very good decision-making skills with clarity, dakshyam, and they never run away from the battlefield. They are kind, generous, and they have leadership skills. These are the natural actions of the Kshatriya. The Kshatriyas are warriors. Their role is to protect the society and provide security to people. They are brave, strong, and skilled in the art of warfare. They are bold, risk-takers, and are selfless, yet they are kind and generous. They demonstrate leadership qualities and are in the line of duty. They will embrace death rather than running away from the fear. These are the natural qualities of the Kshatriya. Describing the duties of the Vaishya and the Shudra, Krishna says, Krushi Gauraksha Vanijyam Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. Agriculture, cattle raiding, and commerce are the natural actions of Vaishya, whereas the service to others by following orders are the natural duties of the Shudra. The Vaishyas are the business community. They are involved in agriculture. They were involved in agriculture, cattle raiding, and variety of trade and commerce. They are entrepreneurs. They create jobs and work for the society. They tend to be more self-oriented than Kshatriya and Brahmins. The Shudra are service-oriented people. They enjoy serving others and following the orders. They are the workforce of the society and fulfill their jobs in the society. All these different types of people have different prescribed duties which are based on their work. These duties were never based on their birth. The ultimate purpose of life in the Vedic times was spiritual elevation and finally self-realization. Thus, all the actions were done according to the 4 stages of the individual life, the 4 ashrama, to purify oneself and in the process to elevate to attain the divine. Though the actions are different based on varna, the final result is the same, that is rebirth in the higher loka and finally liberation. And this is what Krishna says in the next verse. He says, dedication to one's own duty leads to the highest goal. By sincere commitment to one's duty, people reach their respective goals. And the goals that is reached by the prescribed duties, now you listen to me, Bhagavan says. Krishna describes the immense power of the path of karma, the karma shakti, the karma yoga, with the right attitude towards action can lead us to the final goal of life. The first and the essential goal of karma yoga is to prepare the mind so that it can understand or comprehend the elusive scriptures leading to freedom or moksha. Krishna says he is going to describe the entire spiritual journey, the different processes, prakriya needed, starting from karma yoga, leading to gnana yoga, and finally moksha. Duty as the devotion, how we can make one eligible for that goal. Bhagavan says, by surrendering swakarmana tama abhyarcha, by surrendering our enjoined actions to the Lord, yatah pravruti bhutanam. Who is that God? From where all the beings are created, yena sarvamidam tatam, and by whom this entire universe is all pervaded. Siddhim vindati manavaha, the people will attain their ultimate goal. Karma yoga involves the relationship with the divine. Knowing and having faith in God is an essential prerequisite for karma yoga, where all the actions are needed to be connected with the divine. The karma yogi knows Ishvara well and connects with him by his actions. One of the important attitudes of karma yoga is to surrender all actions to the God, swakarmana tama abhyarcha. This is possible only by virtue of remembering the Ishvara while doing all our actions and doing all our duties as a worship to the divine. Whatever we get in return as the fruits of actions or results are accepted as a divine offering from the God as prasada. It is also important to understand Ishvara well so that we can connect with him. In this verse, Krishna defined the Ishvara as is described in the scriptures as the one abhinna, undivided, nimitta karana, instrumental cause, and upadana karana, the material cause of the creation. Ishvara is not just the creator of the universe from where all the beings arise, yatah pravruti bhutanam, but Ishvara is also the part of the creation as the omnipresent God, as all-pervading supreme consciousness, as the one divine, yena sarvam idam tatam, who is pervaded in this universe. To such an Ishvara, I need to surrender all my actions as a worship to the Almighty God. How we should follow one's own duties, swadharma, and not the duty of others, paradharma. Bhagavan says, Shreyan swadharma vigunaha. Following one's own duties, even with some blemish or with some dosha, is better, paradharmat swanushtithat, if it's better than following others' duties or paradharma. Because following our own duties, which are decided by our nature, will never lead to any sin. In the vision of Krishna, everyone has their own given duties. It is up to us how we can focus on them duties. And every duty comes with its own shortcomings. For example, when a doctor prescribes medicines, there is always a chance of side effects. In spite of all these limitations, Krishna says each one of us, for us, our duty, swadharma, is the best, where we should focus on. Human beings are programmed to focus outside on others, trying to judge others, criticize others, label others for their shortcomings or blemishes. Paradharma. Krishna says we should not look at what others are doing, paradharmo bhayavahaha, but only focus on our job. Following our duties will lead us to the highest benefit. Occasionally in the line of duty, just like a soldier, there can be some physical harm to others, some untoward consequences, but that also does not lead to any sin. Change our action from karma to karma yoga. Bhagavan says we should not give up karma. Oh Arjuna, do your given duties. He says sahajam karma kaunteya sadosham api nat tyajed. Even though there is some deficiency or shortcomings, don't give up your duties. All actions have an inherent sarvarambahi doshena, inherent defect or deficiency, dhumena agni rivavruta, just like smoke engulfs the fire. So just like two sides of the coin, every action has its own counter action, reaction. Similarly, every duty will have some inherent flaw or imperfection. One should not give up the actions just thinking about the flaws or the risks involved. For example, there are many risks in starting a new business. A young entrepreneur needs to weigh all the risks before starting the business and needs to take countermeasures to mitigate each of these risks. In the variety of the roles that we follow in life, we should do our best in each one of them, without thinking of the inherent flaws. Krishna gives an example of smoke that engulfs the fire. Similarly, darkness hides the light of knowledge. Krishna now shows the steps of the spiritual journey. He says, asakta buddhi sarvatra, one who is not attached anywhere, anasakta. Jitatma, one who has self-control or self-restraint over his senses and mind. Vikata spruhaha, one whose all the desires, binding desires, are relieved. Naishkarmya siddhim paramam, a seeker who, like a pure mind like this, will attain that actionlessness. Sannyasena adhigacchati, the highest goal, Brahma, by renunciation, by tyaga. So Shri Krishna describes the spiritual journey in this verse. He says there are essentially two goals, siddhi, on the spiritual path. The first step is to obtain suitability to understand the spiritual knowledge, the gnana yogyata prapti. This step is the first step on the journey where karma yoga and bhakti yoga leads to purity of the mind by detachment from all the material possessions, asakta buddhi sarvatra, developing a self-restraint over our senses, jitatma, over our mind, our intellect, and finally relieving the mind of all the binding desires, vikata spruhaha. And the next step is the actual process of imbibing the self-knowledge, gnana prapti. In this step, the selflessness, the nishkamata, leads to the final goal of actionlessness, the naishkarmya, where all the desires are relieved and the seeker knows that own self is nothing but the eternal actionless self, the consciousness, akarta swarupa. The person becomes self-realized and knows the true self as the actionless self. This step is described in details in the next few verses. Now Krishna pledges to describe the steps to attain this divine knowledge, the gnana sadhana. He says, I shall tell you, Arjuna, in brief, how a seeker, after obtaining the purity of mind, how we can attain the final and the highest state of the steady spiritual knowledge. So after purity, the seeker needs to perform a threefold penance of listening to Vedanta from a guru, Shravana, clear the doubts by logical thinking, Manana, and then to assimilate the knowledge by the practice of meditation, Nididhyasana. With these steps done repeatedly, one becomes more and more steady in divine knowledge. Krishna describes this spiritual journey in details. The first step, he says, is Gnana Yogyata Sadhana, steps of eligibility for knowledge. It says, Buddhaya Vishuddhaya Yuktaha, by obtaining purity of the mind and with self-control and discipline, renouncing all the five objects, and by living the strong likes and dislikes. The first step is to prepare the mind, to calm the mind, to reduce the restlessness of the mind, and this requires an inside-out approach where one needs to work on the own mind, sense and intellect to discipline ourselves. Our strong likes and dislikes are like our main obstacles which hampers us from doing what we need to do. And we keep doing liking what we do and avoid doing what we don't. The discipline of the senses is needed to avoid overindulgence in the five sense objects, the Sabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. The spiritual practices of the Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga gradually makes the mind quiet and receptive and eligible for the Gnana Yoga or the spiritual knowledge. Now, Krishna describes various life changes which are required for meditation, Dhyana Sadhana. Vivitta Sevi, one who enjoys seclusion for meditation, Lagavashi, one who eats less, Yatavaka Kaya Manasa, one who regulates the words, body and mind, Dhyana Yoga Parah Nityam, for whom meditation is a priority, Vairagyam Samupashritaha, who is committed to strong dispassion. In the pursuit of making the mind quiet, meditation is very important means. For meditation to happen, the mind needs to be quiet or else it will keep racing into thoughts. One needs to enjoy periods of aloneness without feeling lonely and pursue spiritual practices for the lone time. One needs to have control over our emotions, especially anger, jealousy and others, to pursue meditation. Other changes in lifestyle such as early and light evening dinner, going to bed early rising helps in meditation. Involving in too many activities in life does not allow us to pursue meditation and progress on the spiritual path. Thus, a balance of mind, a balance of our work and life priorities are essential for us to pursue the path of meditation and then knowledge. What we need to give up, Tyaga, for knowledge, the Gnana Sadhana, we need to give up our own pride, ahankaram, balam darpam, our own darpa, our arrogance, balam, that force which pushes us into useless activities, kamam krodam parigraham. So kama means all our desires, our anger and the greed to accumulate possessions. And we have to become nirmama, shanta. We have to be unattached, become quiet and still. Only then we shall be eligible to attain the eternal knowledge, Brahman. On the spiritual path, we need to give up many things to achieve more and more. We need to give up on several of our misconceptions, vices, unhealthy attitudes, unproductive habits, and unhelpful emotions. Krishna describes some of the difficult things that we need to give up, like ahankara, our self-pride, which is very difficult for us to leave. We are not even aware during our day how it makes us angry, makes us speak in ways we never mean to, and how it keeps us fixated on our limited self and attachments. Our attachments to ourself, to our near dear ones, our material possessions bind us to them, and these attachments need to be given up to progress on the path. Success and knowledge also brings arrogance, darpa. One needs to be aware that praise does not make me bloated and egoistic. Remaining humble and being grounded is essential in the entire spiritual journey, is to surrender our ego to the eternal divine. Many unfulfilled desires lead to anger and even violence out of rage. Such a force, bala, to get work done on our strong desires needs to be avoided to make our mind quiet. We also need to give up our habit of accumulating a lot of possessions, by far what is needed in our life. And this is due to an inner security inherent in humans. Krishna says only a detached and a quiet person becomes eligible to understand the omnipresent divinity, the Brahma. Krishna now describes the final steps in the pursuit of knowledge. One divine, in the next two verses, he says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. One who attains Brahma is cheerful, does not have sorrows or expectations. Samah Sarveshu Bhuteshu, sees the one divine in all the beings and attains my divine higher state by my devotion. So calm and cheerful person is one who is rooted in balance, not afraid of losing, neither greedy to achieve more. He remains the same in spite of all the ups and downs of life, and is able to bear the difficult situations of life without having much sorrow, and is able to remain happy without any expectations from others. That kind of a devotee, Gnani Bhakta, by virtue of the worship to the divine, becomes one with his devotional form, the Parabhakti. Now, Krishna describes from self-knowledge or Paroksha Jnan how one can reach to the self-realization, the Aparoksha Jnan, directly experienced knowledge or assimilated knowledge. That is the God attainment, Bhagavad Prapti, the final goal of mankind. So he says, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, one who knows me completely by devotion, Yavanscha Asmi Tattvataha, as much as I am and what I am in reality, Tataha Mam Tattvataha Gnatva, thereby knowing me in reality, Vishate Tadanantaram, becomes one with me immediately. So devotion is one of the best means for God realization. With utmost devotion, the highest state of divinity can be realized. attaining the God completely in all respects. And one truly knows that all forms in this universe are forms of divine, that God is a material cause of the universe, and the entire universe is pervaded by this gigantic cosmic form of the Lord. Not only by all the forms are divine, but the formless divine, the Nirgun, Nirakar, Chaitanya Swarupa, is the substratum, the Adhisthana of this universe. This verse demonstrates the highest principle of Vedanta, that everything is just one, Sarvam Khaluvidam Brahma. My own true self-nature is nothing but the divine Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi. It is only that this self-realized knowledge of the Brahman, one attains the Brahma and becomes one with the God. This is the final goal of the individual jiva, to attain the infinite, eternal or pervading consciousness. The journey, however, starts with worshipping our actions to the Lord. Swakarmana Kama Abhyarcha. One who offers all actions to God, Mat Prasadat, by my grace, attains the eternal highest state. Adoption of the attitudes of Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are important for initial progress. And then it is the grace of the divine that we are able to understand the spiritual knowledge, the Gnana Nishtha, and attain the final goal of liberation. Surrendering all our actions, Mat Vyapashrayaha, is important to sublimate all our self-pride to merge with the universal consciousness. During each moment, an attitude of gratitude towards the divine for whatever I have achieved is due to God's grace, will help us surrender to the grand design as it unfolds in our life. I am the instrument, the nimitta, whereas He is the real doer. Therefore, it is His grace, Mas Prasadat, it is His compassion, Anugraha, that my self-pride, Kartrutva, gets resolved and one is able to progress on the path to finally attain the eternal highest state, Shashvatam Avyayam Padam. Clearly now, Krishna states what Arjuna and we all need to do. He says, Sarva Karmani Mai Sanyasya, surrender all your actions to me with understanding, completely being devoted to me. Use your intellect and keep me in your mind all the time. Krishna now is coming to the end and concluding and summarizing the important means or the sadhana that we need to adopt in life to reach the highest goal. Firstly, Karma Yoga, where we need to surrender all our actions. Chanting the Lord's name, Smarana, while performing all actions is also surrender to the divine, Samarpana. While performing all our prescribed duties, we need to be alert about all the aspects of karma and its possibilities, with awareness of the actions without being unduly attached to its results. Krishna wants us to be completely devoted to Him, Mat Paraha, he says, as devotion is a great inner cleanser for our strong attachments. All such attitudes are with a clear understanding of the divine, and all decisions in life are also taken with this understanding to maintain the equipoise in life. And what is the benefit of these attitudes? Surrender, Matchitta, Matparaha. He says, one who is devoted with my grace, Sarva Durgani Tarishyasi, gets over all the difficulties in life. But if he also shows a warning, due to your pride, you do not listen to me, then Vinakshyasi, you shall be ruined, Arjuna. Krishna says, having an attitude of devotion, surrender almighty to Lord, and that will help us to overcome all the obstacles in our life. Our main obstacles are not outside us, but they are within us. Our ignorance of ourself and its sixfold family, the Shadripu, incessant desires, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. Desires, anger, greed, attachments, pride, and jealousy. Krishna also warns Arjuna that through him the entire humanity, that the main obstacle is our intellectual arrogance, Ahankara, our false pride, Mithya Bhimana, which does not allow us to see the truth. The moment this is dissolved, serenity of the mind ensures. Krishna says, if due to pride you are not able to understand and apply what has been said, then for sure you will be ruined, meaning you shall fall from your path, Adhogati, and will not be able to fulfill the highest goal of the human life. If you don't understand, your nature will force you. Krishna tells Arjuna that if you take shelter of your pride and say that Nayotsya, I will not fight, if you believe this, then this is going to be a purposeless endeavor, because your nature, Prakritim, Vam Niyokshati, your nature will inspire you, will force you into actions. Krishna warns Arjuna that one should not become obstinate and try to have a wide perspective in life. One's own nature is very strong due to previous sanskaras. Often we are adamant, do not listen and apply this other's perspective due to our ego. And in the vision of Krishna, invalid insistence of Arjuna based on self-pride is a purposeless endeavor which Arjuna should give up and fight this war for justice. Avoid false pride and listen to the call of duty. Bhagavan says, you are bound to your natural actions. by your dispositions, by your tendencies. If you don't desire to do your duties out of foolishness, you shall be forced to be in the battle. So Krishna tells Arjuna that you are dependent, not only you are dependent on the Prakriti, it will force you into your actions because of the Dhrada Sanskara. So the big question is whether we can change our nature, our Dhrada Sanskara. Guru Maharaj says, yes, the entire spiritual discipline is meant for this kind of change of our habits. And Krishna in the next slok shows that you are completely dependent on God. Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam riddeshe arjuna tishtati. He says God is inside the heart of all the beings, makes all the beings to revolve as if yantra rudhani mayaya dhamayan sarva bhutani. Everybody goes round and round as if we are sitting on a machine by his maya, by his power of the magic. Krishna shows an eternal truth, how the omnipresent God is indwelling within each one of us as Antaryami. Therefore, God can only be attained within us. That is the Prapti Sthana during our life. We can also call it the voice of our conscious or the inner voice of the divine. Sitting inside the heart of all the beings, Ishwar is the controller as he pushes all the jiva into their actions according to their dispositions, their destiny, without their control. The jiva is helpless, goes round and round like in going on a merry-go-round. One goes till the energy lasts. Similarly, the jiva is controlled by the power of the God. This is similar to a puppet show where all the puppets are under the control of the puppeteer, but to the audience it appears that they are moving by their own free will, as if because they are not able to see the thread. For jiva, it is that invisible thread, our karma, which determines our journey by yogic powers of the divine. And understand the divine scheme and surrender to the divinity. Krishna tells Arjuna, Tameva Sharanam Gacha. You take shelter of the divine, Sarva Bhavena Bharata, Tat Prasadat Param Shantim Prapsasi. By his grace you shall attain the divine bliss and the eternal abode. So often in life we are faced with different situations, we push things away, we become insistent, obsessed, want to do things our way. Krishna says we need to let go shelter of our ego and misconceptions, surrender to the divine who is watching us from inside. The choice is mine. I need to exercise the correct choice by using the intellect and accept whatever comes to me from the divine as a prasada. The change that happens by spiritual practices help us to decide where to endeavor, where not, and what is a prayer, what is a shreya. We need to do a series of wise choices leads a person to eternal peace, param shanti, and the highest goal. Now Krishna is concluding the message to mankind. He says, this knowledge I gave you, which is the mystical of the most hidden secret, think of it in totality and do what you feel is appropriate. Krishna now tells Arjuna that he has given him this mystical message and he has to see from all perspectives and do what is the most appropriate. A great teacher gives complete freedom with the trust that he will do the best in the appropriate situation. Krishna does not insist on Arjuna to follow what he has said, but wants Arjuna to use his intelligence to find the best solution in the given situation in the midst of the battlefield. Out of compassion, Krishna now summarizes Gita Ji into 2 shlokas. He says, the hidden highest treasure, listen again to my divine words because you are so dear to me, Arjuna, I love you. This is my firm conclusion and final opinion that whatever I am telling you is for your own good, for your own benefit. Krishna is out of sheer compassion for the humanity at large. He is not easy to understand, and therefore Krishna is summarizing this message to Arjuna. The ultimate aim of Almighty is that the jiva is uplifted to attain the highest goal of final attainment, and each jiva is dear to God, and by his compassion it keeps flowing that they should attain him only. Summarizing the first path of the karma in the bhakti yoga, the path of action and devotion, the pravritti marga, Bhagavan says, Man mana bhava, you keep your mind in me always by smarana. Mad bhakta bhava, be devoted me by loving me and respecting me, my desires and my will. Bhakti, madhyaji bhava, surrender all your actions to me by karma yoga. Mam namaskuru, take my shelter, your sharanagati. Mam eva ashyasi, you shall attain me only. This is my pledge because you are so dear to me. In the vision of Krishna, the first step is the path of action and worship, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and with this attitude, one will attain the highest goal, the God attainment. In this verse, Krishna also emphasizes the importance of devotion and surrender to him. This verse highlights the significance of cultivating a loving relationship with God through devotion, trust, and surrender as a means to attain the spiritual liberation. And the final message of Krishna, the Gnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, Nivrutti Marga, Sarva dharman parityajya. He says, renounce all your duties with the understanding, with the knowledge. Mam ekam sharanam raja. Come only to my shelter. Aham tva sarva papebhyaha. I shall relieve you of all the sins. Moksha ishyami. And you shall attain the freedom, the moksha. Do not grieve, don't worry. He says the final call of Krishna is to renounce the duties and actions by the right understanding and knowledge. All the actions happen in the body-mind complex, whereas the true self is a non-doer, Atma. The true knowledge is to understand the divine Ishvara properly, so that he is the main doer, Mahakarta, and I am just an instrument, a nimitta matra. While I am the doer, he gives the results of the actions. The karma phala data is a permanent solution to all problems, and therefore prayers are so powerful. Ishwar is what I have always yearned for, and I always want to be the eternal Sat, Chit and Ananda Swarupa, which Nitya Sukha, there is no lesh of Dukkha, and we yearn for that ever bliss form. We finally need to take surrender to the one undivided and lead to liberation finally from the cycle of birth and death. So in this final verse of message of Krishna, teaching to Arjuna, Krishna is urging Arjuna to relinquish all other paths, exclusively surrender to him. And Krishna promised Arjuna to free him from all the consequences of his past action and relieve him of anxieties and guide him with the divine will and trusting his guidance. Now Krishna is showing who are not eligible for this knowledge, those who do not have any tapa, austerities, no bhakti, no devotion, those who do not want to listen, shravana, and those who despise, asuya, despise or find faults with the God, they are not eligible for this kind of the divine knowledge. Those people who are not following these rituals of the lineage, sampradaya vidhi, those who are completely independent, swachhanda, those who do not have faith in Ishvara bhakti, those who do not want to listen to Guruji, Guru bhakti, and such people, those who have anger, despise the God, asuya, jealous, they find faults and accuse God of being unjust or taking sides and giving preferential treatment, are the people who are not eligible to understand this divine knowledge. Krishna praises the one who teaches and shares his knowledge of the Gita. One who teaches this knowledge and shares with my devotees, he is my greatest devotee, there is no doubt about it, and he shall attain me. Krishna also loves the one who shares his knowledge as a Vakta or as a speaker, those who are very dear to me, and they shall always be dear to me in the future. And then Krishna appreciates one who listens and recites Bhagavad Gita often, by performing as he is performing a knowledge sacrifice or a Gnana Yagna, which is very similar to my devotion. That is my opinion, Bhagavan Krishna says. So we need to daily chant the verses of Bhagavad Gita, which is considered to be very auspicious, and it helps us sing the message within us to recall it during appropriate time of our life. For those who cannot read or write, just listening to the Bhagavad Gita by some learned person they will find liberation, and they will attain the higher lokas due to their virtues. So listening to Gita and its verses with meaning and explanation inspires, elevating, can lead to moksha. And our human intelligence needs to be used for such purpose to create this divine understanding with faith and patience. Now Krishna asks Arjuna, did any change happen inside, or is it the same? He says, did you listen with a focused mind? Did your illusion born out of ignorance get destroyed? One of the important duties of a good teacher is that if the teaching is not understood, it will be repeated. Krishna asked two questions to Arjuna to know the effect of what Krishna revealed in Bhagavad Gita. The first question is to know whether Arjuna was attentive like a good student when Krishna was unfolding the most enchanting message. And the second more important question was to know whether the purpose of Gita was fulfilled. One of the important purposes of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is to relieve the humanity of all its delusions, which arises out of ignorance of our true self. Arjuna accepts and surrenders to the Lord Krishna. He says, "Oh Krishna, with your divine grace, my delusions is gone. I have come back to my true self, and I am steady without doubts. Now I shall do whatever you say." Arjuna, like an ideal student, says that the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is served. Arjuna expresses his realization, readiness to follow Krishna's teaching. Throughout the dialogue, Arjuna goes through various emotional states, including confusion, doubt, and moral dilemma. However, through Krishna's guidance, his doubts are dispelled and he gains clarity and determination to act according to the divine will. This verse signifies Arjuna's transformation from a state of confusion and hesitation to a state of understanding and resolve. It highlights the importance of gaining knowledge, eliminating doubts, and being prepared to act in accordance with the highest wisdom and guidance. Sanjay is now concluding the Gita. He says, "Thus I heard the dialogue between great Krishna and Arjuna, which was adbhutam, extraordinary, and romaharshanam, which was thrilling. It created goosebumps to me." Sanjay has been very fortunate. He has been given the Divya Chakshu from none other than Vedavyasa to understand this dialogue, or to see this dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. And Arjuna has nurtured a very loving relationship of love all throughout life with Arjuna, but now he has become the teacher. It's a chilling experience to have heard this astounding and amazing revelation of the eternal truth. And he summarizes his experience in brief in the few final verses. Sanjay pays the gratitude to Lord Vedavyasa so that he could listen to this hidden secret, to this highest solution, and he says he could hear this message from none other than Krishna himself, the Lord of Yoga, Sakshat, Yogeshwarat Sakshat. It was with great stage that Vedavyasa wrote Mahabharata, blessed Sanjaya with the divine vision to listen to this divine song and Gita Ji. It is within the Bhagavad Gita that the mystical teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and the best message ever, the Shrestha message, is located, which is like a permanent solution to all our problems and revealed directly by none other than Sri Krishna himself. Sanjay again expresses his immense joy. He says, "Wonderful dialogue, I remember again and again, very auspicious, I am overjoyed again and again, and it is considered very pious." Now Sanjay excitedly remembers the Vishwarupa. He says, recollecting the wondrous Tat Sansmrutyam Adbhutam Harehe, wondrous form of Ishwar again and again. I am greatly astonished and thrilled again and again. The Vishwarupa Darshana, the cosmic form of the God in the 11th Adhyaya, was indeed a fabulous event. At one place, the entire cosmos could be seen at one time in the body of the Krishna. This sight was an astounding sight for Sanjay, and therefore he again remembers and is exhilarated by the memory of that Ishwarupa Darshana. Now finally, Sanjay concludes the Gita Ji by stating a fact to Dhritarashtra. He says, "Wherever there is Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, wherever there is Lord of Yoga like Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, wherever there is an ace archer like Arjuna, Tatra Shri Vijaya Bhuti Dhruva Niti, there alone is wealth, victory, all accomplishments and focused strategy." That is my opinion. Sanjay, with his intelligence, predicts the outcome of war, is keen to avoid further destruction, and tells King Dhritarashtra that the victory appears to be on the side of Pandavas because they are the righteous side. So Sanjay tried to do his best. His efforts were in vain. The war continued, and finally the victory was on the side of justice for the Pandavas. With efforts and grace of the Almighty, success is definite in any field. This verse serves as a concluding statement when it summarizes the teachings and the underlying message of Bhagavad Gita. It highlights the importance of doing divine connection, the pursuit of righteousness, and the positive outcomes that result from aligning oneself with the divine will and the divine purpose. With this, we come to the end of the 18th Adhyaya. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Moksha Sannyasa Yogo Nama Ekadashodhyayah.